This is Jane. She runs a 40-person agency, and she just found a confidential client file inside an employee's personal AI account. Her first instinct was simple: shut it down. So she approved one AI model, wrote a policy, and trained the team. On paper, everything looked under control, but AI didn't disappear, it multiplied. People were building dashboards, apps, decks, and automations, each in a different tool, each in a different way. Her IT lead wanted to lock it all down. Jane couldn't tell what was safe, useful, or improving the agency. Jane's problem is not getting people to use AI. They already are. The problem is that this activity is growing faster than the agency can direct it, support it, or learn from it. By the end of this video, you will know what a useful AI policy needs to cover, how to test it against real work, and how to use the template linked below. An AI policy is not a permission slip. It should not be a ban disguised as one either. It is a clear statement of how the organization intends to use AI. Where can AI help? Where must a person make the final judgment? Where could a mistake cause real harm? A useful policy answers those questions in the context of everyday work. That employee probably was not trying to bypass company rules. They were trying to finish the work with the AI account they already used. That is shadow AI. Work happening beyond the company's view. People are not only using AI as a search engine. They are making presentations, analyzing data, prototyping applications, building dashboards, and automating work. Much of that work is useful. It simply lacks shared standards. Take presentations. AI can build a deck in minutes. That speed is useful. But without the company's knowledge, point of view, and brand, the result will feel generic, and someone still has to decide whether it is right. Dashboards are different. For a quick answer, a dashboard used once may be exactly enough. Trouble starts when people rely on it every week, but nobody maintains its data or takes responsibility for the result. Then there are AI agents. An AI agent carries out multi-step work. It may research, create assets, and publish content across different tools. Once an agent can take action, accuracy is no longer the only question. Same technology. A mistake can matter differently. A draft deck, a recurring dashboard, and an agent that can publish may use different information, affect different people, and do different things on the organization's behalf. The useful question is not simply, does this use AI? Ask what AI is doing. Is it assisting a person, recommending a decision, or acting for the organization? Each kind of work needs a boundary. A boundary is where permission stops. IT sees another picture. Work is moving through personal accounts and unknown connections between systems, with nobody responsible when something fails. Wanting to contain that risk is reasonable when the activity is difficult to see. Nobody here is wrong. Jane sees potential. Her IT lead sees what could go wrong. Employees see a better way to finish their work. The policy must hold those views together without letting one erase the others. Start with the work, not the tool. An employee drafting a notice, reviewing a member complaint, or preparing a report needs direction in that moment. A list of approved models does not provide it. Use 4 questions. What work is being done? What information can AI access? What happens if the result is wrong? Who answers for it? Together, those answers establish the organization's line. The order matters. Work provides context. Information determines where the task can happen. Consequence determines how much review is needed. Ownership identifies who decides. Products and settings come after those decisions. Map the AI work already happening. Record recognizable uses, not every task in the organization. Draft a member notice gives the policy a decision to address. Use AI for marketing is still too broad. For each task, decide which account may be used. If personal accounts are prohibited, provide a supported option or a clear alternative. A rule that cannot be followed during ordinary work will not hold. Apply the organization's existing information classifications. Public, internal, and confidential material may require different accounts, contracts, or controls. State where each class may go using terms employees already encounter in their work. Account settings support that decision. They do not make it. Training can reuse input to improve AI. Disabling it may be required, but the policy must still identify which accounts, if any, may receive confidential information. Then, assess the consequence of a wrong result. An inaccurate event description may be corrected easily. A wrong decision about care, employment, money, or access to services may cause real harm and requires a firmer line. Name the owner for each use. The person who answers for the result. AI may prepare, organize, or suggest. The owner decides what happens next and remains accountable for the work. For example, a golf club might allow AI to draft an event notice, but forbids staff from putting a member complaint into a personal account. The tool has not changed, the information and consequence have. A dental practice might allow AI to help with public website copy while restricting patient notes to approved systems. Even there, the dentist still owns the clinical judgment and the message sent to the patient. In government, summarizing a public report may be acceptable. Assessing a resident's case is different. The information is confidential, the decision can change someone's life, and the public employee remains responsible. One framework can produce different answers across a golf club, a dental practice, and a government office. Two businesses in the same industry may also draw different lines. The policy should reflect the organization's work, information, consequences, and ownership. Define the required review for each use. A client notice may need fact and tone checks. A clinical or public service decision may need existing professional approval. AI does not remove controls that already protect the work. A dashboard used once may not need a full operating process. If the team relies on it every Monday, it does. Someone must define how its information stays current, how failures are handled, and when it is retired. Do you need to define every task? Not before the first policy. Start with AI work already happening. Over time, yes, if AI is expected to operate across the organization at full capacity, each process it touches must become explicit. AI agents carry out multi-step work across files, browsers, and software. Current examples include Claude Code, Cowork, ChatGPT Work Mode, Codex, Grokbots, and OpenClaw. The same four-part framework applies when they take action. For each agent, document the work, information, permitted actions, and owner. Reading a file is different from changing a record. Preparing an email is different from sending it. Set the boundary at the level of action. Set the agent's authority, the actions it may take. Start with the smallest useful scope. Expand it only when the information, review, and ownership are ready to support the additional action. Agents depend on defined processes. SOPs are documented ways work gets done. Each one sets the steps, inputs, exceptions, approvals, and owner. Without that structure, an agent reproduces inconsistency at greater speed. Agents also need reliable sources. If an agent needs a member's current status, it needs one dependable place to find it. That may be an existing business system or shared database, kept current with controlled access. Important work also needs a stable history. An immutable data log is a record that cannot be silently changed. It provides a dependable reference for the source used, the action taken, and the result. The policy does not build every SOP, database, and log. It sets the current boundary and identifies what must exist before AI receives more access or authority. Operations and technology can build that foundation in stages. Product names and allowed actions will change faster than the policy. Keep a short working list of approved accounts, the systems they can reach, and the actions that need human approval. Update that list without rewriting the principle. Form a small working group with authority to decide and enough operational knowledge to understand real work. Include the people who set organizational boundaries, support technology, manage sensitive information, and perform the tasks. Composition will vary by business and industry. A small firm may need the owner and 2 employees. A government team may need operations, technology, privacy, legal, and program leaders. The group should match the decisions the policy must cover. Build the first draft 1, current use at a time. Write down the work, information, cost of a wrong result, and person who answers for it. Then, state what is allowed now and what requires further structure. Write a direct instruction for each use. Which account to use, which information is allowed, what review is required, and who decides. Include a named place for situations the rule does not cover. Hand the draft to someone who is not in the meeting and give them a real scenario. If they cannot decide what to do or whom to ask, the policy is not clear enough. Rewrite the rule. Jane's policy does not describe a finished AI operation. It gives her team a clear starting point and identifies what must become more structured next. Each SOP, trusted source, and reliable log expands what the organization can support. Lemon Brand helps organizations turn scattered AI use into work they can support and trust. We set practical boundaries, build the systems those boundaries require, and make sure someone owns the result. If that gap sounds familiar, we should talk. Next, we will look at why sensible AI policies fail inside real organizations. Then, in part 3, we will show how the policy should develop as the tools, the work, and the organization itself change.